Power is everything. And if you don't have the power to realize that, then you won't have the power to get any. Gotta work on those foundations, you know? Sometimes when you focus on those foundations, you realize you missed something you should have noticed a long time ago. I guess some people are just born with gifts like Santa Claus or Bugs Bunny. And some people just flex in front of a green screen for a cold open. So there's that, I guess.
Halana and Alena, partners. For 2 red green, you get a 2/3 legendary creature human ranger with first strike in reach that says, at the beginning of combat on your turn, put X +1/+1 counters on another target creature you control, where X is Halana and Alena's power. That creature gains haste until end of turn. This very literal power couple was printed in Foundations. But, this one slipped under my radar, because when Crimson Vow first came out with this in it, I didn't care, because I didn't really like Crimson Vow that much. So, I wasn't interested. But now with Foundations wiping the dust off of some real staple commander cards, we can revisit these two and try for an updated power-focused deck. What I like about this deck is how good it is at becoming a threat and staying a threat. Notice, the ability is just a triggered ability for combat. That's extremely helpful for our deck since we're probably going to lose our commander. Then if we really need it again, we can pull it out the turn we need it and use it that same turn. We don't have to wait another turn cycle for it to get back to get us some value out of it. That just means it's going to be quicker for us to bounce back from people removing our stuff, so you can tell it's good. And speaking of quicker, it also grants haste, so we can get some creatures with huge abilities and give them huge power to take advantage of the huge value that we've baked into the 99 of this deck, which, like all my other decks, is about 30 bucks. So take advantage of that. But like I said in that cold open, where I was flexing, it's time to build with some foundations. So locate that subscribe button. It's down there if you're wondering. Then I'm gonna really rip through some ramp, the true foundations of any deck. Fertilid. For 2 and a green, you get a 0/0 creature elemental that enters with 2 1/1 counters on it. You can pay 1 and a green to remove one of those 1/1 counters from it, and target player searches their library for a basic land card, puts it onto the battlefield tapped, then shuffles their library. I can't get over for how long I genuinely straight up just didn't know that Fertilid was an ant. I never looked at the art for some reason. Whatever. I had a whole rant about it on the Discord anyway, like a month ago. It's free. First link in the description of any video. Whatever. Moving on. I pretty much always want to put Fertilid in any deck. But it's almost always like the first card I cut for any number of reasons. But in a deck like this one where I can constantly put counters back on it, it's a repeatable rampant growth effect for as many counters as we decide to put on it. Instant speed as well. That legitimately could do some serious deck thinning if left to get out of hand. Just imagine this, after 2 or 3 turns of removing counters with whatever spare mana we have on hand, that can get at most 10 lands. And that's just with the base power and toughness of our commander. If we find some way to buff that power, we can get more. And don't worry, we'll get there. And plus there's only 7 non-basic lands in this deck, so all the basics are pretty much easy pickings. And since we're in green, we can run the whole normal green ramp package anyway. Things like Cultivate, Bar Seek, Kodama's Reach, and Wayfarer's Bauble, for the fun of it. And while lands are nice, we can get some really interesting dorks out there as well. And since dorks like making stuff, there's a prototype I want to show you. Cradle Clear Cutter. For 6 mana, you get a 3/6 artifact creature golem that says tap at an amount of green equal to Cradle Clear Cutter's power. Or you can prototype it for 2 and a green, making it a 1/3 green 3-drop creature instead. Everything else about it stays the same. This type of effect is crazy good with this commander. I say crazy a lot. It's very, this type of effect is unbelievably good with this commander, because if we cast this card for its prototype cost, not even its full 3/6 base, prototype 1/3, then we move to combat, we can give it the 2 counters and haste. The next main phase, we have a 3-drop creature that essentially at worst taps for 3 mana right away. That's a really good return. That's free mana to just turn into something else for the rest of the turn. You can find this type of effect in a lot of other cards, some like Heronblade Elite or Viridian Joiner, both of which cost 3 mana, but only one of which cares about humans, which if any of our other 5 humans end up coming out, then I guess we can benefit off that too. I do wish some cards like Kami of Whispered Hopes could make it into this deck because it helps out in more ways than just that. It kind of got priced out, so I'll just throw a handful of cards in the wish list in the considering tab on Mox Field. I used to go over that, but yeah, that's more options in there that might be a little more expensive for the deck, but they still kind of fit. The point is, these creatures give you a lot of mana to do just what we want to do. What is that exactly? That's what we all want to know, Magic Boy. Well, we're going to use it to pay for some things that make our commander absolutely massive. That's because, as it turns out, our commander was really raised by giants. Raised by Giants. For 5 and a green, you get a legendary enchantment background that says commander creatures you own have base power and toughness 10/10 and are giants in addition to their other types. Yes, I do have a soft spot for backgrounds, but I swear it is really good. I swear, don't you dare, you get back here, you get back here. That is an automatic 10 counters on another target creature we control. This also means we have the best blocker in existence because they're a 10/10 first striking reach creature. Turns out they're Tavern Brawler as well. Haha. So that means we get more card advantage on top of more power for that advantage. It's a win-win. There is Primeval Bounty. We run about 28 creatures, 33 other non-creature spells, and 36 lands. Meaning we'll most likely be gaining incidental life or putting 3+1/+1 counters on our commander to share the means of production. At worst, we're gaining life. At best, we are accruing value on our commander. That is not bad. I'm running out of different words. I need to start writing. I need a thesaurus, I swear. Forgotten Ancient is the one friend who likes to stir the pot by learning everyone's secrets and unloading all that information onto one person, our commander. While this is frightening for our opponents, it should also be mentioned they can see what it does. So if they don't want you to have death on a stake, they should have played around it. Sucks to suck. Scrounging Bandar is like the Forgotten Ancient, but it doesn't ruin friendships, but rather it thrives on the healthy relationship that Halana and Alena have. They give to the kitty gives back. This kind of feedback loop is one that I can get behind pretty quickly. That is to say, also don't forget you can do that with a Forgotten Ancient. Those counters can go right back onto Halana and Alena as well. It's not special to Scrounging Bandar, whatever it is. Either way, they're going to be super inconvenient for your opponents, just like Spike Weaver. Well, both Spike Weaver and Spike Feeder. They do similar stuff in the first bit, so I'm just going to talk about them together right now. They both enter with counters, and like all the spikes, they can move those +1/+1 counters onto other creatures. This means we get to build up our commander's power in a more concrete way, while also getting good value with those second abilities. Spike Feeder lets us remove the counters just straight up and get 2 life for each one, which can just be a great excuse to build a ton of counters onto it. The Weaver is a repeatable fog effect that will definitely not be a magnet for removal. It's going to be a magnet for removal because they have to get rid of it. You can't just leave that around. That's really good. Pretty much as long as you have 1 mana open, they can't touch you with combat damage. Fun stuff. Great at the parties I don't get invited to, I assume. Or we can turn our commander into this scariest mana sink in existence with Fiery Mantle and Draconic Destiny. Fire breathing effects. And for those who don't know, fire breathing is another way of saying you pay 1 mana to temporarily increase a creature's power by 1. It's pretty simple. Since that effect is usually just in red, it's like taking the fire out of the mountains and embedding it directly into their opponent's face. Fire breathing. Here they act more like a cash for gold scheme, but instead of ripping you off, it converts your mana into raw staying power. Now these are all great ways to stack up that commander, really push it to the next level, and get some heavy hitters in. What are those real heavy hitters? We want to know what's going to be targeted with this ability. Maybe we should just wait and see what comes out of the deck with Emergent Woodworm. Emergent Woodworm. For 6 and a green, you get a 4/4 creature worm with backup 3, meaning when this creature enters, you can put 3/1/1 counters on target creature. If it's a different creature, it gains the following ability until end of turn. Whenever this creature attacks, look at the top X cards of your library, where X is its power. You may put a permanent card with mana value X or less from among them onto the battlefield. Put the rest on the bottom of your library in a random order.
Normally, this does its backup and you have a choice to make. A, do I let it keep the counters so that I have a 7/7 to look for the next 7 or less drop out of the 7 cards? That's a lot to say. Or B, do I just throw them on a creature that can attack right now to get the value out of it right now because I'm kind of needing that? Well,
you don't have to ask that question anymore because the choice is made for you. If you put those 3 on your commander, then it gains the ability. Then you can throw 5 counters, minimum again, back onto the emergent woodworm and then give it haste. So you know that saying, right? The early bird gets the worm. Well, now these opponents can get these hands. If we can get an etched oracle or like a mindless automaton from those cards, we just turned our counters into fun money. Well, I guess not with Etched Oracle, because that does need to be cast, otherwise it'll die. But that's just semantics. I'm trying to get to these 2 cards in an organic way. Is it organic enough? We'll find out. Anyway, Etched Oracle. We have to pay 1 mana, sure. But we remove those 4 counters and get to draw 3 cards. Instant speed, too. That means we get a very intimidating blocker for our turn cycle, and then when we feel like it, we can turn that power into the cool, refreshing taste of card draw. And Mindless Automaton doesn't require you to pay mana, but every 2 counters equals 1 card, so you're kind of getting a worse rate. Doesn't matter though, that's instant speed. That's also really good. Plus it has a way to get counters back onto it, so if somebody really is threatening damage on that thing, you can boost it up a little bit more just in case you need it. Spike Shot Elder is a good way to feel like the biggest dog at the table. Also, can we really agree that that is terrifying art? Like, that's not a goblin. That is terrifying. What is that? Moving along, this thing directly pressures life totals and plays some mean removal by biting anything you want on a repeatable effect. Bloodsport Thrainax is a kill on sight card for most any deck regardless, but especially this one. If you get to keep this thing around, you get to play like your commander has an ETB instead of a combat trigger. All you decide is who gets the extra love and the haste before the combat step. Hangerback Walker is like our one with the Kami. It's a little bit of insurance for our creatures. If we get the Hangerback Walker full of counters, it will pop for us, but instead of confetti, it's an army of drones. And they might be chiropractors too, because they're great for cracking back. And because tokens make the world a better place, we also include Iridescent Horn Beetle. It tallies all the counters you got placing for the turn, and it makes a slew of beetles equal to that number. The thing is it doesn't care where those counters got placed at end step, it just cares how many counters were placed. Not bad, especially if we have that Thrainax out. Ooh, they're not small. They're not small at that point. Now, with all that said, it seems pretty straightforward. Big creature, make other creature big creature. There's only one real problem here. They might still have hope. It's time to take that away from them. If they were thinking they could block your army, well, no. Sorry. Throw down that Champion of Lambholt and show them the true might of the red-green army. They can't even block your stuff. Now, I know I have been saying at minimum 2 counters all video, but in reality, every time I've played this deck, it's usually placing double digits worth of counters. So if you were going to get this champion out, they're not gonna be able to hold up mana for it, respond to it, and then stop it from becoming huge, meaning they can't block it. They can't block it or any other heathenous being that you have on your board. It truly is some cruel and unusual punishment. I've been really hamming it up with the dad jokes on this one. Now, I know what you're thinking. Rats. You called? Yeah, I'm working on you. Stay tuned. What, you think I just ignored the comments? I just got busy. Anyway, you might be thinking, darn, I really wanted him to talk about this thing, or he missed this obvious error. Fool. Well, if you check the deck list in the description and check out the considering tab, maybe I had it in there the whole time. But while you're checking it out, if I did miss something, just let me know in the comments, especially what you think about this deck. I have played it a lot. It genuinely is super powerful as a stompy deck. It's one of the most fun decks to lose against. It's also fun to shout out members.
All right, so this is a joke tier. I added it and one of you took it immediately. So I guess I have to tell you how cool you are. Well, thanks Picard001 for joining the joke tier. Did you know that they once won an entire GP by bluffing Exodia? I don't even know how you do that.
And then another special thank you to our higher power members, Jennifer Griffith, Devin Spooner, Filthy Casual, Ezelvor, A-Train, and Angela Ryder. I truly cannot do this without all of your support. So thank you.